What the fuck is this shit? He said calm down and system, Al. Give me a fucking second here.
For a start,
The more you buy,
turn on frame generation
the more you
before it
save.
even starts with this pop-up.
아, 제대로 못 노렸어요.
A crash report is being created. I'm at the main menu. I feel like we don't need to be doing all this.
Again, it's just a baffling reminder as to how companies create this kind of stuff, and then they don't bother fixing it. And then down the road, there's complaints about gamers not being interested.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel a little ashamed?
You can see that turning the camera at a faster speed produces excessively long frame times that go below that line. So for some reason when turning the camera, it runs quite a lot worse.
아, 지금 이번 봐 얼마 잘 됐는데 지금. 아, 솔직히 진짜.
Having diagnosed things like this before, sometimes this can mean an occlusion coloring issue with slower CPUs. But that is not the case here. It's been testing the game on the Ryzen 7 9800X, the fastest CPU on the market for gaming.
Like, Doc, can you blame the actual gamer here? Like, can you blame somebody that came home, spent like their hard-earned money, and then got treated to a piece of software that cannot even properly function across all sets of hardware? That is the stuff we need to be talking about.
Marty, I'm bored. I'm gonna kill you.
So, this is intended to be an amateur guide on how to fix the game using mods, for players who have crappy hardware, like in my case. TU2 kind of fixes how the game feels, but I don't know. There's still some cases that runs kind of bad while hunting. At least for me, the most consistent monsters that still have major issues and make the game go bad are Uth Duna and New Udra, and any zone with inclemency in general. Yes, performance kinda improved a bit with this patch, but it feels better with these 4 mods, which I will talk about later. Now thinking about it, the game should have been released with the content of this update. It doesn't feel so depressing anymore. There are more things to do. The dailies have more activities and rewards. The chests outside the camp are excellent. My boy Eric as the new waifu. The new hammer offset feels godlike. The only thing missing is a crazy siege event like Kulve Taroth. Also, the last 2 weeks were kinda wild. The Steam review bombing, tons of videos destroying the game, and even Japanese players seem they hate the game more than America. I mean, America. Look what I found on a Japanese video. A rant compilation about the game.
おいおいおい不完全版の不完全版かよいままでモンハンだからでまかり通ってきた甘やかしてきた月がそんなもん知ったこっちゃないと通用しなかったと
トマップがゴミだからなこのゲーム
一ノ瀬チームのライズの新作出せ藤岡のクソつまらんワールド系モンハン入らんし二度とやらん楽しくないっていうストロングスタイルのクソゲーなのくさ
オープンワールド界の遊びのアイデアが足りてないからな根本が面白くないからこれまでのモンハン勢からも否定されるし新しいファンはできる前に去っていく
それ以上にセルレギオスまた登場させるのがマジなら一体何させるのやらこいつさんブルの事前 PV であんま盛り上げられなかった上にアシア特殊個体なし入れくれなしという
追加モンスターじゃなくて追加コンテンツ頼むわ大元が未完成なのに開発が意図的に完成度下げてて大草原いや笑えないは最悪のアップデート情報だろうねこれが成功したら私は真似するしダメだったら今後軌道修正するだけ嫌な思いをするのはロイヤリティ高い信者だけだから質のダメージの良いやり方だと思うぞ
アップで前提がやっぱおかしいよ完成品の定義がなくなるじゃんそんなことしたら5年後に完成するって言い訳が成り立ってしまう
No way. You're not my.
So note that I used a rudimentary tool to translate, but the main message is there. Too bad for Capcom. Well, now everybody hates Monster Hunter, but they deserve it for releasing an incomplete mess, at least for PC. I want to make a yapping session, my opinion on the game. I've seen after the update people still complaining about the game crashing and going bad. I had no major problems because I make a fresh install for this video, and I don't know if it's still the effect of an angry crowd. But let me tell you, before TU2 it was on a more painful state. Even to make it run was a gamble. You have to try from the most rare and bizarre things. Deleting the cache, seeing what mod combo works, because some mod combinations does not always work. Even reinstalling the game or even Windows. Some players don't even have to move anything. Others like me had to download many mods and see which ones work best. And I'm only talking about the pure performance ones. And others, like a friend, found it impossible to even get the game to run. And my friend has a computer with almost all the same components as me. RTX 3060, and a Ryzen 5 5000, an expensive M.2 SSD, etc. It's sad to see a Monster Hunter title getting destroyed this hard. Let's see if Capcom keeps bringing us more stuff, and one day they redeem themselves. But not gonna lie, when they bring quality content, it is a banger time. Lagiacrus and Seregios are fun, and they have a long way to keep working on. Well, the funny thing is that I belong to that sector of players that put it more than 800 hours. What the fuck, Lameo, about that? Right now I have a little obsession with a mod for the photo mode, EMV engine, and sometimes I tend to leave the game open since I get distracted by certain things. And I forget, apart from that, making a pose for a capture sometimes takes some hours. If you're interested, I have a video about this. My real hours playing, I would say, are 260, and that's still quite a few hours. Having said all this, I do not recommend the game at all if you are not willing to spend the time trying to fix it. It may work fine. It may even give you many problems even if you have a fairly expensive computer. And I doubt that TU2 will solve or improve many of these things that people complain so much about. But I am optimistic, and there is a little faith. Always remember to check the opinion of someone you trust before making a purchase. Lol. Well, let's start with how and with what mods I play. But just a small disclaimer, haha. Capcom is supposed to not like the use of mods in their games. In my experience, I have not had problems with this yet. I'm a legal player, but probably thanks to these f***ing bozos. They may change their minds. My recommendation would be to play offline if you are going to affect the experience of other players, if you use 99k damage one-hit mods, or costume events, and do not ruin the leaderboards like these f***ing pathetic individuals. Motherfuckers. Suckers. Maddenley's guys. Pieces of shit. Candidate bastards. Those little bitches. So after all this nonsense I gave earlier, I think the game is still an 8 out of 10 when you ignore all the issues. Now before all that, if you already have the game installed, just delete the .cache2 shaders. Just in case, soon it'll show you how to find the game folder. The Akuma update breaks the game for many players, and this is one of the fixes if the game goes bad. Now let's begin. The main mod that usually fixes the horrendo stutters is Reframework. You can go to Nexus and download it, or on GitHub to get one of the recent nightly builds. I currently use the GitHub nightly. If you find GitHub download a bit confusing, just click here. Once you have the zip, go to the root folder of Monster Hunter. The easiest way to find it is to open Steam. Go to the library, right-click on the game, Properties and Installed Files. Once done, simply drag D, input D, LL into the folder. And this is the cache file. Now, we open the game, then wait to Reframework interface to appear, then go to the Loose File folder tab and check Enable Loose File Loader. This step is necessary to be able to load the remaining mods we go and download next. Disable post-processing effects, light environment, old gen unbloat, and tweak in-game volumetric fogs are the next ones. Once downloaded, open the zip files and place the Reframework folder inside the game directory. On light environment, by unchecking wind simulation and global simulation, it helps a lot to make the game run not like crap, especially on 3060 graphics, 20s, 10s and 16S series, although the 10 series you have to play at a resolution lower than 720p. In disable post-processing, we can uncheck everything in the graphics settings. The bad thing is that now we see that the game is starting to look a bit ugly. The only things left enabled are volumetric fog and God ray. It's up to you to experiment and balance how the game looks. Later, I will share how I disabled some processing effects and let the game not look bad. By the way, in this tab, we can also get rid of the ugly color correction that makes the game look grey and depressing. Here's what I mentioned. You need to test which options improve your game and find the perfect balance between performance and graphics. And I'm not including upscaling and frame gen. You'll spend a lot of time adjusting on post-processing and volumetric fog tabs. It's so bad that we need to do all of this to get the game running properly. And Capcom is just saying, update your drivers. You probably won't see a huge increase in your frame rates, but this mods helps to keep the game from getting stutter between 1 and 5 seconds. And this is crucial not to have those ridiculous stops for players in the endgame with the massive damage that Tempered Mizu does. Reframe also helps with random crashes. I know this from experience by taking complex shots in photo mode and leaving the game open for 2 or 3 hours. Now comes the game changer. Sadly, this will probably only work on graphics with 8 or 16 gigs of VRAM, or a decent faster CPU DirectStorage option. This attenuates the sudden changes in FPS when turning the camera, but players who have weak components like the 2060 or a Ryzen 3600 should still try it. The bad thing is that they may not see a difference or it may harm them, but it is part of trying to fix a game that a company did not release in a decent state. At least it worked for me. Once you have unzipped the mod, go to Inside Reframework Plugins folder. Find the DirectStorage option INI file. You can open it with Notepad. Just right-click and open with Notepad. Once inside, in the second line, look for a staging tapered. Change the value of the number, 32, and 64 for weak rigs. For high-end rigs, try 128 or 256. From here, it is just a matter of trying which value works best for you and change from Reframework. And select DirectStorage on GPU or CPU. It will take a long time here, and you may not even see any change or the game will get worse, or you may get lucky like me. On a 3060 12 gigs, the DirectStorage 32 value on GPU worked. About my configs, I put everything in low. Only textures, shadows and occlusion on medium, context shadows on, DLSS on balance or quality. If I want to fight a Thuno, New Udra, or farm big monsters on zones that are on inclemency, I turn down everything and go DLSS for performance. On light environment, I only disable wincing. I don't really like turning off global illumination. On disable post-process, I only left activated local exposure and use blurred luminescence. If you disable color correction, you need to set SDR gamma and brightness and do it with the normal in-game brightness. The values I like on SDR, costume gamma and brightness are these. I believe with the new version of disable post-process, don't touch the UI brightness at all. But those are my saved configs 2 months ago. In graphics settings, I only left volumetric fog and God ray. Lens distorter and normal fog changes are almost nothing. If you still have serious issues, remember to disable volumetric fog. On tweak volumetric fog, the quality doesn't have much difference between low and medium, unless you set your resolution high. Ambient light I like is over 0.3. On emission, I liked set it 0.8. Here's the tricky part. DirectStorage option. You're going to expend so much time over here and see if your play experience gets better or worse, or nothing changed at all. You can see the changes on the game graphics menu if the DirectStorage is on the GPU or the CPU, but you need to close and open the menu to see the changes. After TU2, I've not seen so much difference. Before on the Akuma update, it was so much noticeable. To be honest, I don't know the best way to look if the mod is working if you change it like that. The way I tested is changing this option. Reopen the game and test it over 2 or 3 hunts. Then change it again. Reopen the game and yara yara yara. The way to see any significant changes and know if the mod is working is by turning the camera fast and see if you have elements of the game popping up or if the game goes bad. Also by traveling the map with the secret and watch for stutters. Other important thing, with the new Lagiacrus underwater combat, you should test the post-process options underwater because it changes a lot how the combat looks. Unless you want to go full performance. One more little thing to finish. For some reason, disable post-processing effects on a friend PC never work. Don't ask me why. If this happens to you, can try one by one the other ones that are here on his description. Quick note, on every update, some mods tend to get broken after a patch. Thankfully, the modders usually fix them 1 or 2 days after a patch. You should check the comments if the people have problems. In the case when installing an outdated mod and you're stuck on an infinite black screen and the game don't boot, you need to uninstall that mod to get able to run the game. Just look to the original zip files, track the files and delete them. Let's talk about Fluffy Mod Manager. You just drag the zip and put it inside, and that's it. And it's so useful whenever you got these problems, but you need to check if inside the zip there's a file named modinfo.ini. Nowadays most mods have this file. If not, you're going to delete manually. Now let's talk about more mods. To improve your experience, regarding reshape, they usually impact the game's frames like 4 to 6%. If you want to try the one I like and used on the clips and my shorts videos, Wild's Rehydrated, but you can try others. If you want a more world-like experience, hunt solo, so Alma and your Palico doesn't follow you everywhere. Better Hunter highlights to see how much damage you did at the end of the hunt and compare damage in multiplayer. please don't use this mod to be a douchebag with others. If you are interested on EMV Engine or Photo Mode in general, Photo Mode Plus to disable the camera frame, plus 1 frame let you pause the game inside the campements and other circumstances that the game don't let you. Also, relight to spawn more lights. Character normal map and diffuse map improvement if you want to see your character with a more clean skin. Other mods that I use always.
Less selfie.